Hi everybody, Prepper003 here today with another firearm topic for SHTF. Now this one isn't going to be focusing on any specific firearm, but more on the optic choice for an SHTF scenario for you preppers and militiamen out there. So right now I'm going to start off, and I know you guys already know, but the optic in question is going to be the Trijicon ACOG. Now I know that there's a lot of different models out there and a lot of different variations. So right now I'm going to stay on just the overall series rather than a specific one. So it's going to change in a little bit of the pros versus cons because there are differences between different models. But I'm just going to kind of get a general consensus on the ACOG as a optic for SHTF. Now I'm going to start off by just giving you guys just a glimpse into the military history and service line of the ACOG as a whole in the military service. Now, it started being introduced into the U.S. Army in 1987 with the TA-01 4x32 ACOG. And then later on in 1993, the 3.5x35 was adopted also by, just as a note carrier there, by the German GSG-9 SWAT rifles, just as a notable mention. But in 1995 is where it again excelled into the U.S. military with the 4x32 power ACOG being selected by the U.S. Special Forces for their M4 carbines. And then later on in 2004 they were adopted by the United States Marines as the United States Marines official combat optic. So that's just a little bit of a glimpse into the service life of the U.S. military, and also, as I mentioned, just in another adoption by the German GSG-9 unit as well, just as notable mention. So just to kind of let you guys know that they aren't just being adopted by the U.S. military, but by militaries and law enforcement all around the world. So from that you can get that they have a long track record and a long service life, not just with the firearms community as a whole, but also by the entire military industry and also by the law enforcement industry of the world. Now I'm going to start by listing out some of the pros for the ACOG, and I'm going to start off by just giving you guys kind of a little bit of a history into the ACOGs that I've dealt with right now. You guys are probably, if you've been watching my videos, you know that a lot of the optics that I primarily run are Trijicon ACOGs. And for example, I'm just going to give you an example of what I have here. It is the TA-01 NSN. Then I have right here another, and this is going to be the TA-11H model for the 308. Then I have up here, which is just another TA-11, but this one is going to be for the 223 or 5.56. And then I have a TA-31 RCO for my FN. So I've used quite a different variety of the ACOG series of rifles over the past 4 years, and right now it's almost 5 years. Man, time flies. But right now that is pretty much the primary optic that I run for my go-to rifles. And there's a few reasons why I'm going to list them below right now in the pros versus the cons list. Now, one of the biggest pros is they're very durable. Right now I have had very little issues. Besides the one time I had an issues was with the TA-11H here, when I ran it on my suppressed PTR 91, and due to the shock impulse it ended up rocking the mount loose, so I had to, and that was just factory tightened. I didn't retighten it or anything. So I was straight taken out of the box, put on the PTR, and then once I got my Silencer Omega, I ran a couple hundred rounds to it at a fast rate, doing reactive contact drills and everything with my prepping partner. And eventually I started to lose accuracy, and then I started to figure out why, and sure enough the mount was loose. So I fixed that up with just putting down some Loctite on the screws, and now she's rock solid. So that is the only thing that I have had an issue with, was with that one mount for that one ACOG. All the other ones I haven't had a single issue with. Right now the glass is just impeccable for the clarity you're getting out of it. I mean, even with the standard 3.5 power optic, you can see very clearly out to 500 yards and beyond that, and make accurate shots even to the beat of subhuman silhouette. I mean, we were getting them into the A zone on these silhouette targets. So I mean, it was just really great to be able to get out and to test the accuracy of the rifles with those ACOGs. I mean, sure they're not going to be these precision optics that you see like a Night Force or something like that. We were able to dial in, get your correct clicks and everything, but I mean, you can still be fairly accurate with these optics, and you can get definitely sub-MOA at 100 yards very easily. But again, you can do that with irons. So then the other thing is as I mentioned before, with the exception of the one mount, the mounts that I've been using on the other ones have been rock solid. I haven't had a single issue with those, but I'm not going to say that that's all of them, because I did mention that I had that one issue with that one that TA11H there. So, but I fixed that up with some Loctite, and it's been good to go. And I actually took off all my other optics and Loctited them just to be extra safe. And I've already mentioned just as the next point is going to be the long service history and the world use. I've already touched on that already, but I wanted to make that just another note there, that is a big pro of that, because you know they've been able to take a lot of the heavy abuse by U.S. military, by other militaries around the world. So you can notice and know from that these optics are going to be able to hold up to a lot of abuse, much more abuse than standard civilians are going to be able to give them as well. Another thing is that they're very simple to use. You don't have to deal with a lot of different turrets or adjustments or anything like that. It's just the standard dial-in turrets, and then your fixed magnification, so you're not having to screw around with different types of magnifications. You're not having to deal with first or second focal plane or anything like that. It's just a very simple throw it on, zero it, and you're good to go. So I just like how simple it is to use, and I like how simple it is to use with the different type of reticles that you have as well. So, and there's a lot of different options with the reticles, but they're all very simple, very easy to use. Another thing, as I already touched on, is with the simple to use part is going to be that fixed magnification. You don't have to deal with dialing in different turrets or anything like that, as I mentioned. So being able to be a fixed power, you can still use it fairly relatively well with them being low power fixed magnification optics in your CQB and close quarters work, to where you can quickly able to be throw them up and still pull rounds very accurate on target, even at closer ranges, whether it be 3 yards or further out beyond that. And we did an extensive work with that during the recent class I took with WROL Tactical. We did a lot of close quarters drills, really a lot of close up drills, and really learning the bullet drop and the height over bore of our optics and of our rifles and of the impact from those rounds. So right now I can say that, and I've used this exact rifle setup as it is right here during that class, and it worked very well for me, and that was using the reticle. Another thing is that for you preppers out there, the optic is very good for areas that are prone to wide open environments and spaces. So like for my area and for my bugger location, there's a lot of open farmland, a lot of open fields, and there's not a lot of very thick and woodlands and areas for the underbrush. So having an optic to verify and use it for target identification and getting that sight picture before and after I pull that trigger and send that round down range is one of the really nice things about having these nice clear optics, and being able to see and have that clarity for down range, and being able to retain that clarity through a lot of abuse. The last thing I'm going to mention is going to be for most of them, they have tritium in them, even the TA11 NSN, TA01 NSN that I have right here. That one I have had for about, I want to say 2.5 years now, but they have all the tritium inside of these optics have a 15-year lifespan for them before they are no longer having that tritium glow effect that you kind of get during the day and at night. But the nice thing about some of the other ones, like you have with the TA11 series and the TA31s, is they had that fiber optic area on top, so they can use that to collect sunlight, so you can still retain that glow, but at night you are going to lose that after that 15-year shelf life period. The next thing about that, onto that, is that they are etched reticles. So even if that does happen, you still have that really nice, clear, crisp etched reticle in there for using precise shots. Precise and accurate shots, I should say. But next is going to be on to the cons of the ACOG. And these are going to be some pretty big cons, but I don't know how you guys might feel, but they might overwhelm the pros to it. And the biggest one is going to be the price, because almost all of the ACOG series of rifles are going to be $1,000 plus, besides some very small models, like maybe your TA01 without a mount series, but those might run $950, $980. So you're still running close to $1,000 per optic, if not more, depending on which one, because there are some of the ACOG series of optics that run over $2,000. So, and that's much more than a lot of people want to spend even on a full rifle setup. So right now, most people might want to spend $800 on the rifle, maybe $400 or $500 on the optic, and then put the rest of that money towards ammunition and training. So it takes a lot of focus and a lot of funds to put towards spending $1,000 on that one optic for your rifle. And like I said, that most of them are more than $1,000. So that's just added on funds that you're having to put into that one optic. So that's why I'd say the biggest con is going to be the overall price and cost of that optic, especially for you preppers that are into more budget-minded things. The next thing is going to be that it's really hampered with the CQB options there. As I mentioned earlier, when we were doing the close quarters drills and everything with WROL Tactical, I could definitely tell that there was a slow between my shots and those with the red dots and using the iron sights. Now, my shots were pretty good for using a magnified optic, even quickly bringing them up and getting those close shots, but I was definitely having to struggle with the height over bore scenario for using my optic than those guys with their red dots. I mean, they were at sometimes even full seconds quicker than me on getting that rifle up and getting that round down range than me, because I was having to focus on where I was bringing that and adjusting for that height over bore scenario. So that's just one thing. And if you're using it even more confined space, like inside your house for home defense, you might want to go towards something like a red dot, especially for really close confined things if you're having to be really quick on that rifle. Like I mentioned with the pros, that's why I kind of go in towards this, because a lot of the areas that I do is more wide open space. I do have red dots on some of my rifles, but I primarily use ACOG just because that's the area that I work in mainly. And I don't see myself assaulting a fortress or a compound anytime soon. So that's just my personal opinion. And that's one of the why I'm still putting in the cons, so that it does get hampered and you hamper your ability a little bit in these close quarters combat. The next thing is going to be the fixed magnification. Now I mentioned that is one of the pros, but that is also on the flip side a double-edged sword as being one of the cons. You can get some really nice accurate shots, but you aren't going to be able to use, for most part, the ACOG as a precision optic. So if you're wanting to use it to shoot out to 600, 700, 800 yards accurately, and I'm talking about getting anywhere under your 4, 3, 2, 1 MOA groupings out to that far, you might want to have something as a higher quality piece of glass on there than a ACOG, and being able to dial in and be able to get that much better clarity and that much more focused, precise shot. Just as one of the more downsides of the ACOG, it is a fixed magnification optic. Now the last thing is going to be the eye relief. And on models like the TA01 NSN and the TA31 RCO here, you have to get really up on that optic to be able to see clearly into that reticle. And for an example here, I'll show you, I have to get right here to be able to get a nice clear picture on my reticle. As with my TA11 here, I'm back here and I can still see very nice and clear onto my reticle and see the whole thing. I'm not having a blur effect on the lines or anything, like on the ring of it or anything like that. I can very clearly see my whole reticle. So, and I mean, you're having a lot of extra space and they're almost a full extra inch. This right here, so you don't have to be dug in onto that optic. So that's going to be pretty much it for the overall video. I just wanted to kind of get your guys' opinion on that, what you guys think. As I said, this is more of a question for the overall optic and the overall choice in optic for an SHTF scenario. And I know, like I said, the biggest problem is going to be the price, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about the ACOG as a go-to optic for SHTF. So I know that some of the Marine friends that I've talked to don't like the RCO so much as some of my Army friends that I have, so it kind of weighs out between the two. I know I definitely agree with some of the points that the Marines have put out that are friends of me, especially with that point on the eye relief and with that CQB option there, but I really want to hear what you guys have to think, and I really want to know what the overall consensus is on that. So thanks for watching. Preppers 003 out. Remember, prep for today, survive tomorrow.